Hi, it's me. Recently uploaded a review of the awesome new Tamron 90mm f2.8 macro lens, and everyone was like, boy, I wish Chris would do a comparison video of macro lenses on Sony E mount. Well, I listen, so here you go. How on earth should I go about this then? The problem is that most modern macro lenses are equally amazingly sharp these days. In fact, even legacy macro lenses were always at least pretty good, and at this point I've more or less lost track of how many macro lenses I've actually reviewed in the first place. So instead of doing a long image quality comparison of a whole load of lenses that are virtually as good as each other, let's break it down into categories. I'll cover the best ultra-low budget macro lenses, the best value lenses, the best wide-angle macro lenses, the best super magnification macro lenses for those who really want to get close to their subjects, and finally, the best high-quality macro lenses for those who want ultimate sharpness. How about that? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm always open to new ideas, and as usual, you can find links to full reviews in the description, as well as affiliate links if you'd like to purchase anything, which earns me a commission and goes a long way to helping me keep this channel going, sponsorship free. First up, the best ultra-low budget macro lens for anyone who's on a shoestring or who simply doesn't do enough macro work to justify spending a load of money. Well, there are a few options around, but I think the best happens to be the TTArtisan 100mm macro 2x. At only $320, this lens offers very good sharpness, decent enough build quality, a little telephoto reach, plus it can focus down to 2x magnification. In fact, it's a very good macro lens overall. Its downsides are that it's manual focus only, which can be a bit fiddly, and that focus ring could have done with a slightly longer travel to make it easier to focus the thing, as well as struggling with flaring when faced with bright lights and a little longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's not perfect, but honestly, with the kind of images this rather capable lens can get you, you won't often care. There's a more expensive version available with tilt shift capability, but I wouldn't bother with that myself. It doesn't really add much. If you're using a Sony camera with a smaller APS-C image circle though, then TTArtisan also make a 40mm f2.8 macro lens for only $100. That is insanely good value for money, and its image quality is surprisingly good. Again though, it's manual focus only, and again, it doesn't offer a full frame image circle. Well, the next category, the best value macro lens, for anyone who wants to spend a bit more money but still get a good deal. To my mind, the winner here is obvious. At $700, the new Tamron 90mm f2.8 III VXD is the clear winner. It offers full autofocus, a full frame image circle, and ridiculously sharp image quality. In fact, it's one of the sharpest lenses of the year. Its flaring performance and longitudinal chromatic aberration is just on the average side though, and its build quality is fine, but nothing to write home about. Still, to my mind, the Tamron is the clear winner for best value autofocus macro lens. And now, the best wide-angle macro lens. Wide-angle macros can be a little easier to work with as camera shake is less of an issue, and they're more flexible for other kinds of photography too. However, they don't give you much working space from your subject, and they're not as good for portrait work either. If you want to get very close to your subject, then the Laowa 58mm f2.8 2x macro is a decent enough choice. It's not the sharpest of Laowa's camera lenses, and at $500 it's not cheap, but as I say, it gets you extremely close, which can be fun. 7Artisans produce some inexpensive manual focus 60mm macro lenses, but their optical performances aren't so great. Sony make an autofocus 50mm f2.8 macro lens. I hear very good things about it, but it's one of the very few Sony lenses I haven't tested yet. It might be your best bet, to be honest. I've just emailed Sony's PR team to ask if they can loan me a copy for testing. If you can cope with half macro ability instead of full 1:1 magnification, then the Tamron 20, 24 and 35mm lenses are loads of fun, have autofocus, and only cost about $300 each. Oh, and if you're shooting on an APS-C Sony camera with their smaller cropped sensors, then you have a couple of good options here. Firstly, if you need autofocus, then the old Sony E 30mm f3.5 macro lens is loads of fun and quite good quality. If you don't need autofocus, then go with a manual focus TTArtisan 40mm f2.8 macro instead, which I previously mentioned. It's only $100 and is surprisingly sharp. Next up, the best super magnification lenses, which go beyond 1:1 magnification and can get you extra close to your subject. I've tested quite a number of these, and the aforementioned TTArtisan 100mm f2.8 macro 2x is surely very good and great value for money. But if you're happy to spend a bit more, then the Laowa 90mm f2.8 macro 2x is a fantastic option. It's a bit smaller and lighter, a bit sharper, with slightly better contrast and lower color fringing. At a reasonable price of $500 US, this is the one to go for. But there are a couple of other interesting options here for anyone wanting to think out of the box. Both Laowa and Astrhori make some very interesting 25mm f2.8 2 to 5 times magnification lenses, which offer absolutely crazy close shooting potential. The Astrhori lens is fairly affordable too. And for video makers, both Laowa and Astrhori also make probe and peri-probe lenses with LED lights on the front, which are ideal for shooters who like to get into tight spaces. Again, the Astrhori versions are a bit more affordable. And finally, the best high-quality macro lenses. These are the premium options for those willing to spend a bit more and get hold of the very best. At $800 US, the Voigtlander 65mm f2 macro APO Lanthar is a manual focus lens that actually only offers half magnification, but I had to list it here as it's one of the sharpest camera lenses ever crafted by human hands, offering beautiful images, and it's apochromatic too, with no color fringing, so it's a great option for professional photographers who are happy to focus manually and want to use a wider angle. Next comes the Sigma 105mm f2.8 DGDN Macro Art lens, also $800. I was going to put this one in the best value category, but it's a bit more expensive than a Tamron lens. For that extra money, you get nicer build quality and an aperture ring, and image quality that's just a tiny bit sharper. And finally, your premium option is the official Sony FE 90mm f2.8 G OSS Macro at $1,100. It's not really any sharper than the Sigma lens, to be honest, but its autofocus is a touch quicker, and more importantly, it features image stabilization, the only lens on this list to do so, and that's especially helpful if your Sony camera does not have its own in-body stabilization. Okay, well, that's it. What do you think? The only conclusion I'm going to draw here is that basically you are completely spoiled for choice on Sony E-mount for macro lenses. You can have anything you want here, just do whatever you like. It was quite brave of Sony to originally open up the E-mount for other manufacturers to work on, but this level of competition is good for everybody, in my opinion. Have fun making up your minds and choosing the right one, and again, affiliate links and links to full reviews are in the description below.